Fuji for being behind the AIPP for literally ever. It's wonderful having you on board for the State Awards and for the landscape category. I'm going to slow down my speech. No, I'm going to talk about our judges we have here. We have Terry Han here from South Australia. We have Peter Barnes from South Australia. We have George Fragopoulos from Northern Territory. We have Laurie Cicchini from ACT, Canberra, a colder place than it actually is right here in Adelaide right now. And Gary Kranich from underwater. Normally he's Aquaman, but right now he's breathing air for us. And he can do landscape, can't you, Gary? He can, he's nodding. So, we're judging the 2019 AIPP EPSON, SA and NT Professional Photography Awards Landscape category, proudly sponsored by Fuji, and the awards are sponsored by EPSON. I'm going to read the category preamble for landscape. This category is intended for landscape images that depict the natural or urban environment. Entries may be literal or interpretive. Judges in this category are asked to consider both traditional and contemporary values, photographic technique, print quality, composition, and light. The landscape category is judged in 3 sections: landscape open, landscape single capture, and landscape aerial. The category is judged in 3 sections to assist the judges in their assessment. However, there is only one award. Entries into this category may be commissioned or self-commissioned. Photographs must depict or imply the natural or human/urban environment. Polytics such as diptychs and triptychs, multiple images in one page, are permitted in all 3 sections. Landscape open. Entrants may utilise all post-production techniques, including multiple images or elements, in producing their entry. Landscape single capture. This section is intended to reward technical and creative excellence in photographing and presenting an authentic representation of a scene without the benefit of creative compositing techniques. Landscape aerial. Entrants may use all post-production techniques, including multiple images or elements, in producing their entry. All aerial landscape images must be entered in this section for judging. Aerial images are considered to be taken from, but not limited to, the following: UAVs or drones, fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, hot air balloons, or magic, I suppose, would be the other one, wouldn't it? That is the preamble for our category. How are we doing out the back, volunteers? Wonderful. Let's start judging with our first print.
It should be coming in.
Should be coming now.
There we go. Oh, okay.
And I want to thank Diana, Joelle, Nicole, and Beck for being our print handlers. Oh, well, that's a good question. It's aerial. Apologies for that. So aerial, yeah, I'm really glad we pointed that out. Would have been confusing. This print scores 82. Can I ask for a comment from Gary? Oh no, a challenge? Oh, I see. That's what this is all about. That's why you were clapping. I'm going to accept a challenge from Laurie. I thought we were just clapping.
I'm going to start off by saying dudum, dudum, dudum. From back here, you know, we look at aerials and we're looking for something more than just a landscape picture, I think, because we're seeing so many of them. But straight away, I could see a heartbeat. I could see the veins going into the heart. The actual shape around it looks like a love heart. And then you go in close and you can see it's dry. So the water that's supposed to be coming into the land, the heartbeat to the land, is dry and it's dead. and that's sort of getting the orange tones around the love heart is that blood that's been pumped away and drying away. Look, it's just got so much magic happening for it. It really needs to sit in more than just a silver award. It's silver distinction from me. Have a look at it a little bit closer, stand back, have a look at that heartbeat, the skeleton feel of those veins running through the heart that are drying up that land. Beautifully done.
Thanks, Laurie. Now, your score was 88 for the other entrants. Can I please ask for a comment from Peter of the Barnes variety?
The photographer's done a wonderful job of capturing this scene. For me, it's a very well done aerial photograph. The design of it falls down because of that bit of light in the top left-hand corner. It's unfortunate that that's there, but for me that keeps it out of an award range.
All right. Laurie, would you like to review?
Yeah, so if you watch Game of Thrones, you'll know that winter is coming. And so that blueness actually gives that beautiful balance of that coldness coming in to take away that warmth of that heart, that land drying out. The storytelling, the way that this photographer's actually seen this and been able to capture it in such a way that look, you could go on and talk about this could be a huge art piece for someone to have on their wall and have, you know, discussions over for ages. It's just, there's so much going on in this picture. And the blue, in fact, adds a little bit more of that story for me. So, yeah, no, go and have a look at it again. Don't be shy. It's up there.
Just to slow down the proceedings.
I like that they did.
All right, let's do a rescore, please. Ed, it was very impressive. Let's do a rescore, and Laurie's holding a score on 88. The average is 82. It's a silver already. We're on an 83. We shifted it up one. Well done. Next print, please. Can we please remind everyone listening and in here, if you are wanting to book for the awards dinner, you need to get online and get those tickets booked for Tuesday night. It's a slightly less formal than previous years, and you can choose where you sit and move about for the evening. But we'd love to see you there if that's possible. All right, the print average is 85, but it's a majority 84. So we've just popped it down below silver distinction. Can I please ask for a comment from Terry that might, because you were right on that score.
A beautiful print. It's lovely. It's got that lovely white in the centre that anchors the eye. The thing that kept me down from taking it into a distinction is the darkness on the right-hand side doesn't match the left-hand side, and I'd love to see the right-hand side lightened just so it matches and got that lovely feel right the way through from left to right.
Great, thanks, Terry. Next print, please. I'll just explain that majority rule. Because 3 of the judges were below silver distinction in that category, even though the average took it above there, it pulls the print down, and it's to prevent judges manipulating the score with large scores. Not that any of our wonderful judges would do that. So this print scores 77. Gary would like to make a comment, please.
Yeah, there's two pictures in here, and I think the real picture is in the middle, in amongst that beautiful swirl of orange and yellow and white and red, and send it completely graphic, so we have no idea what we're looking at. So when the other elements come in, they kind of just sort of confuse the show a little bit there. Yeah.
Lovely, thanks. Just before we go for the next print, is any judges looking for a quick break? Oh, okay, next print, please. So this print averages 81. And we have a challenge from George. I'm going to accept that challenge.
Yeah, well done on the award for distinction. I scored at 88. I think this is deserving of a what do we got? Silver with distinction. Now, this is a sort of aerial that you don't normally see. You know, it's a unique visual image. It's really an art piece that you could hang on the wall. I love the color palette, the way your eye moves up the image to explore the rest of the photo, looking at different elements. It really holds your attention there for a long time. So with that, I feel it's deserving of a silver with distinction.
Great. Terry, can I ask you to make a comment?
Yes, I agree with George. I was a bit harsh on it. It's a beautiful abstract with a lovely base along the bottom that sort of anchors the whole thing. Your eye can wander up through the image almost as though through a puzzle, trying to find your way through the gaps and the lines to go through. It's one of those beautiful, simple abstracts that you could sit and look at for hours. I'll be coming up.
I'd like to hear from Gary, please.
Yeah, it's an interesting collection of shapes, patterns and colours. I'm still trying to work out what it is. It's something. I don't know what it is. It doesn't really matter. And I can see why you were drawn to the pattern and that whole graphic feel. It's almost like skin. I'm still trying to work out what it is. Doesn't matter. I probably the top third is sort of, it drops away in the top third a little bit, the image, in terms of interest and level of interest. But I was still at 82, a silver award, and it scored an 81. So, yeah, that's kind of where I didn't go any further beyond that. Was that little top third. I would have gone higher if there was some more level of interest up there.
Yeah. No, thank you. I really love that middle third, you know, and even the top third holds your attention, makes you explore, and then allows you to come back down without forcing your eye back down. I feel it could be a open plains in the Northern Territory. I was looking for a crocodile actually in that image, but there's so much there to look at and appreciate. I feel it's definitely deserving of a silver with this distinction. Thank you.
All right, let's rescore, please. George is holding a score on 88. And it raises to 83. Well done. Not quite silver distinction, but good solid silver. Peter, can I ask you to swap out for Mark Z, please? Thank you. And we'll have a next print, please. We're judging the 2019 AIPP EPSON SA and Northern Territory Professional Photography Awards. This is the landscape category, proudly sponsored by Fuji. So thank you, EPSON and Fuji, for making this happen. It's very cool. And this print scores an average of 83. Can I ask for a comment from Gary on this, please?
Yeah, interesting bunch of patterns, tones and colours. It's quite amazing the way they all work together. I can see all sorts of stuff going on here. I could talk about this for quite a while, but I don't have time for that. But there's a face, there's an eye, there's some clouds. It looks like clouds, and then there's black clouds. Yeah, really interesting picture. So yeah, well done, well seen, and really well printed too. Yeah.
Great, congratulations on the silver. Next print, please. Just want to remind listeners that if you want to come along to the dinner on Tuesday night, you need to get your tickets booked online. Please hop onto it. Special thanks to our volunteers out the back, Diana, Joelle, Nicole and Beck, for doing the print handling. It's wonderful having you. Thank you so much. Must also thank Malcolm Sheffers from Marden Senior College for this venue. It's fantastic, and he's here, crack a dawn, opening it up. Big clap. We're incredibly grateful. This print scores an 83 and is a silver. George, do you want to make a quick comment, please?
Yeah, well done on the award. Fantastic work, beautifully seen and executed. Printing's really nice. I think just the tones in the highlights and shadows brought it down a little bit for me, but overall beautiful shot.
Great, well done. Next print, please. So this print is a silver distinction on 86. Lovely. We're happy with that? No. No. We hear a no from ACT. I'm going to accept your challenge, Laurie.
Holy moly macaroni. This is so many pieces of art history in this picture. The photographer's seen this. I'm blown away. This picture has Salvador Dali in it. It has the fallen angels. It's Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. You've got this ice cold down the bottom with the white, and then you've got this inferno of these falling angels into this. Yeah, I can see people and devils and all sorts of crazy shit going on. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. I went straight to gold.
Yes, you're on 92 and gold.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, look, aerials are amazing as it is for photographers to be able to capture stuff, but when they can actually see something more in that aerial, it just goes beyond a professional practice or a silver award, silver distinction. This is definitely gold. You guys need to have a closer look at this, and the art history in this is it's making me shake. It's just amazing. It's just amazing is not even a word. Far out. Have a look at it. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I want to know where this is. I want to go and see this for myself. This is art. This is definitely art.
Cool. Mark, would you like to make a comment, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I 100% agree, Laurie. There's some amazing stuff going in with this print. And I teed it on whether to push it into the silver distinction range because the initial impact is huge. It's got it all going on. I feel the treatment of the yellows through that flame area coming up to the top, when it's so gorgeously handled at the bottom, it starts to fall apart at the top. There's a couple little technicalities in the solidness of that yellow that I feel could have been more subtly handled. That really would have pushed that over the line into the silver distinction. And there's something a little uneasy with the crop as well. I feel like there's just a little bit too much hanging out on the left, or not enough hanging out on the left to make it. Yeah.
Lovely. I think we should hear from Gary on this. I'm going to give it to Gary.
Yeah, you look at the picture and you wonder how the heck can this even exist, really. It's just bizarre, that whole colour palette. And the amazing contrast between vibrant yellow and jet black. Throw in the flames and all of the other interpretations there. I saw eyes as well too. There's also panel van mural work, a lot that you see flying. There's all sorts of things in there. So I was at 88. I'm not far away, Laurie. So it's a very interesting picture. We're still looking at it, Laurie.
So we're talking gold. I think I'm going to ask George to make a comment.
Yeah, when you first look at this image, it's a really powerful, unique image that we haven't seen before, so definitely deserving of a silver. To get it up to that gold, you really need to have the print printed to perfection. The yellows are a bit too bright. You lose a bit of detail in those yellows as it goes up. Also on the bottom right-hand corner of the image, you've got a tinge of green. I feel that comes through, which takes my eye and thoughts away from the narrative that's been created. And the blacks are a little bit black. It sort of takes away from that, for me anyway. But I hear you and I'm listening, but I may need to have a bit more convincing.
Okay, Laurie, write a reply.
All right, I'm going to give George my glasses so he can go and have a look at that yellow.
No fraternising with the other judges.
Sorry. Okay, I'm going to go back to that yellow. That yellow, if you have a look at closely, is actually got detail in it. If you have a look at really tight where you think it's quite bright. I love how it goes from that softer yellow down to that intense yellow, followed by, the white that really contrasts. Back to Game of Thrones, the black behind it, it just once again just brings in that whole inferno feeling for me. Look, I'm going to go on about Dante Alighieri for ages here because the more I look at it, the more I can see dragons. I can see, I can see people falling, the fallen angels. I'm going to go back to that as well. But that red in there just fires it all up. That whole sort of story that this photographer and they may not even have seen that. It might be just my imagination, but the fact that it's made me so excited it makes me shake is, I know that we're very close, that Gary's only very close behind me, and I'm not sure about the other scores, but this is well deserving of a gold. It's been well seen, it's been well executed, all the details in there, the colours are, beyond an expectation, and it's definitely a gold. So let's go up to a gold.
All right,
Thank you.
let's rescore. Laurie's sitting on 92. Has everyone entered? Because I'm not seeing any rescores coming through. Can you do that reload trick if you know you've entered? Reload that page and just enter it again, please. Up the top by the URL, there's a little an arrow in a circle, a circular arrow. So we've got to lock up. Same as earlier. What do they need to double tap? I was going to say bananas. You want me to reload or them? Because their submits are not submitting. Oh, now I've got it. I had to reload too. Wonderful. We've got a gold majority of 90. So it was an average of 89, but a majority 90. See, that majority rule doesn't always go that way. It's wonderful to see. Well done. Great challenge. Yeah, good job, judges. Okay, next print, please. Big thanks to the AIPP and all the volunteers that are making this happen. Hours and hours and hours go into getting this at all levels, national and state, to put these awards on. It's quite the logistical exercise, and it's so impressive that these people are just giving their time up. So thanks. Okay, so the print average is 80, but is a majority of 79. Is everybody happy with that? We have a challenge from Terry Han, who's sitting on 85, which is a silver with distinction. I'm going to accept that challenge.
So what did it score? 79?
79 by majority.
By majority. So we've only got to come up a little bit to give this a silver. Initially, you look at the image and it was it was quite a simple image. But as you look at it, it has wings. It's a bird that's flying from the left to the right. The beak has the shock wave of the beach, and as it's moving along. Now, as if that's not enough to make you think it's flying, if you look at just the top half, it's an aeroplane wing as you look out the window, going through the clouds. So it's got all these elements of being ground-based, yet flying. and the colours are so sort of lovely, soft and muted that I think it is deserving of at least a silver. Please come up.
Lovely. I think we should hear from George to make a second comment.
Almost there. Almost. I was at 78. I think high professional standard for aerial photography. This is the type of imagery that we see a fair bit of. I didn't see the bird flying, but now I do. And if I tilt my head and squint, I can definitely see stories and elements within that. And the color palette is beautifully. It's well handled, beautiful shots. So yeah, I'll come up to a silver.
Lovely. Terry, your right of reply.
I hope others come up with George. It is one of those images that it does have a story. The deeper and further you look into it.
Lovely. Thank you, Terry. Let's all rescore. Terry holds his 85. And he's made a silver and 81. Well challenged. Next print, please. You're currently watching or sitting at and listening to and looking your eyes, or you're sitting at home under the doonas, the 2019 AIPP EPSON South Australia and Northern Territory Professional Photography Awards. This is the landscape category sponsored by Fuji. So really big, super terrific thanks to EPSON for hosting and running all the state awards and Fuji for running this category. It's fabulous having people like Fuji and EPSON on board. Well, this print averages 80, but it's a majority of 79. Are we all happy with that? Okay, Mark Z is wishing to challenge. We're going to accept that challenge.
Excellent. Yeah. This is just fabulous. It's an abstract. Sitting back, you look. You can't. It took me a while to absorb the power pylons, whatever you want to call them, power line. The pylons. It's got some fantastic mix of the really organic versus the man-made, and there's a lovely sense of three-dimensionality that quite often gets missed in these types of things. And when I got up to it and had a look as well, the shadow work, the placement of the objects through, there's not a part of those towers or the man-made objects that are cut by any blending of tone. Everything stands out beautifully. The printing's been handled very, very nicely in regards to the tones, the color palette, and there's almost a kind of a sense of the man-made being cut into this organic environment. And between that and the geometry, I feel that it should be rewarded.
Okay, Gary, can I ask you to respond, please?
Yeah, look, certainly the impression, I think, of the combination of man-made versus the natural environment is almost there. But the radial lines and strong diagonals confused me somewhat and took me to places out off the edges. I kept finding I was sort of wandering out instead of being fixed in that, as you mentioned, Mark, that really interesting part about the power lines and the combination between the man-made and the natural. So, yeah, I wasn't as drawn to that strength of story about that combination because it's clear the photographer has seen that, but I'm not sure that message for me has come through strongly enough to get me up into an awards range.
Great. I think we should hear from Mark as a rebuttal, please.
Yeah, look, I hear what you're saying, Gary. I think it's a brave thing to try and steer away from just that abstract. There's a lot of opportunities for just some lovely abstract work within this frame that the entrant has. They've seen a wider picture, they've seen a context, they've seen the story and the play between the man-made and the organic, and they've executed it really well. And so I feel that when we're when we're looking at these types of images, if they are printed really well, the tones are handled really well, which I feel this one is, that it is worthy of at least a silver award. We're so far close to it that I would love just to see 1 or 2 extra points.
Great. Well, let's rescore. Mark, you're holding your silver with distinction 88. And we've got an 83 silver. Well done. I'm going to do a quick judge swap. Gary, do you want to pop out for Ben Lou? Thank you. And we'll have our next print, please. All right, the print averages 83. That's a silver award. Laurie, do you want to make a comment on that, please?
I could go on about stories in this, but you probably can see your own little stories. But the colours of the brown and the blue, I think they work really well together. And look, the photographer's seen something pretty cool in this too. So yeah, well done on the silver award.
Thanks, Laurie. All right. We're just going to change categories. So that's the end of landscape aerial. And our next set is landscape open. How are the judges all feeling? Anyone needing a... So we'll continue on as we've got the current set. So landscape open, I'll just give you a quick reminder of what landscape open is. Yeah, can we have a blank screen, please? Wonderful print handly, folks. Entrants may utilise all post-production techniques, including multiple images or elements in producing their entry. So we're good with that? Any other comments or questions from the judges? Lovely. Let's have our first print for landscape open. Okay, the print scores an average of 76, which is high professional practice. Can I ask for a comment, please, from Benjamin?
Good morning. It's quite a beautiful image. It's very tranquil. Just technically, I think is what brings it down. The trees are a little bit soft. The sky is very blown out, and yeah, but it is a beautiful image.
Great, thank you. Terry, can I swap you out, please, for Peter Barnes? Just because I like to challenge my assistant panel chair, Kate Ellison, changing the names over. Can we have our next print, please? We're judging the 2019 AIPP EPSON South Australian Northern Territory Professional Photography Awards. This is the landscape category and it's the landscape open. This category is sponsored by Fuji and the awards themselves are sponsored by EPSON. So thank you Fuji and thank you EPSON. Dueling judges. So this print scores 78, high professional practice. I'm going to ask for a comment from Mark Zed.
Yeah, look, really, the technical execution is faultless. It's been really nicely captured and printed, all of that stuff. The composition itself is a little bit too central, and it's not something that, with these images, you want to remember them. And I feel that this is kind of, you know, it's getting there, but you really need to focus on that composition to bring it up to that next level.
Great, thank you. Next print, please. These awards are being judged at Marden Senior College. Big thanks to Malcolm and the college for giving us this incredible venue. We're very lucky to have such a wonderful rent-free space to do our judging in. Yay. Okay, this print scores 79. Very close to silver. Can I please ask Laurie for a comment?
I'm always in awe of people who can photograph the Milky Way, whatever it is, the sky there like that. The colours in it are really beautiful. The silhouette of that tree, you know, you've got an interesting subject against a beautiful background. Though, sitting back here, the first thing I could see were those specks in the reflection, and that's what drew me away. So maybe if we could clean those up, it'd make this image perhaps a little bit stronger.
Thanks, Laurie. Mark, can I ask you to swap out for Gary, please? And we're going to have our next print, please. Big thanks to Interstate Judges for coming out and giving a fresh look at our prints from South Australia and Northern Territory. It's wonderful. So this print averages 80, but is a 79 by majority. Are we all happy with that? Oh, we got a challenge from Gary Cranich. I knew I brought him back from a break for a reason.
Look, it's a picture of two halves, and I can see perhaps how some people maybe are not connecting the two. I messed in my head a little bit with the two halves of the pictures. They're both quite different from each other. And then I started to think about it, and I thought, well, it's so restful and calming down in the bottom half. And it's been really beautifully printed, that lovely disappearing fence, little bit of man cutting through the ocean trying to do his bit. And then up above, there's this sky just still barreling along, doing its thing as well. So I saw these two stories that were sort of connected but interrelated. I know they're different from each other, the two halves, and I know that's where some of you probably may struggle a bit with the two things. But I think the simplicity of both together come together to make a really interesting composition. So I was at 84 on silver. What did we land on? 79.
So, yeah, 79 by majority.
Yeah, I'm just asking for a silver award. So I think it's been just beautifully printed in that sense. So there we go.
Thanks, Gary. I think, Laurie, I think you should...
Should say something.
she should say something.
Should be vocal. Well, look, no argument there. I saw two different images and then started to really feel uncomfortable about them both. And I didn't know whether, I liked the fact that it was soft in the clouds and soft below. And it's just the colours were conflicting for me, having the warmth and then the coolness. Look, I get where you're going. The other bit that I actually struggle with a little bit is that sort of middle area where it's quite bright. Just near that fence line, there's this big white spot. That's sort of like my eyes going in there, and I keep looking for something that's, taking me into that picture, and I just can't see it.
George, you have some to add?
Yeah, I think this is an example of trying too hard to get a great image. I think less would have been much more. Just the bottom image by itself is beautiful. It didn't need the sky. So looking at the bottom image, the detail in that is beautiful, but when you're trying to improve an image, maybe look at removing something rather than adding to it.
Okay, thanks. And Gary, you're right of reply.
Yeah, look, I take on board all those comments. There is actually a tiny little link between the two, which is that little patch you're talking about, Laurie. That tone is actually reflected in the sky. So there is a very subtle link between the two. So I probably can't say too much more. I've said everything I need to earlier on. So, yeah, let's see how we go.
Let's rescore. And it stays on 79 by majority, but an average of 80. Good try. Right, high professional practice. Well done. Let's have our next print, please. So this print averages 81. And we have a challenge from Laurie.
There's an interesting graphic.
You're on 86, by the way. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm on silver distinction.
Silver distinction.
And it was averaged.
81 silver.
Okay, so we've got a silver. So we don't have far to go. Yeah, so it's an interesting abstract visual sort of, standing back here and you can see, what looks like maybe trees in the snow perhaps. The colour of it indicates that it's a cool sort of image. It's really just looking at the landscape in a very sort of graphic way. Some of the lines in there are quite solid, which I felt strengthened the image in terms of giving those graphic sort of lines being quite sharp. And then the juxtaposition against the softness of the ground below, I think it just raises, I felt like this lift of this scene lifting and this mist sort of surrounding it. It's soft and harsh at the same time, and it fits in with the cool tones. And so I gave it a silver distinction purely because of those reasons.
Cool. George, can we hear from you, please?
From far away, I do enjoy this composite style overlay image. It's got really nice graphic storytelling elements to it, but as you go up closer to it, it does fall apart in the printing, the details in the snow, and the harsh lines of the trees where they start at the bottom really take my eye away and a bit distracting for myself to bring it up to an award score.
All right. Anyone else want to make a comment? We'll go straight back to Laurie for a rebuttal. Yep.
I don't think this was ever supposed to be a true representation of a forest in the snow, and so that's why I'm really basing my argument on the fact that it's quite graphic. It seems like there's a layer put on top of it, which gives it a real painterly feel to it as well. And I get the sense of brush strokes in there, and so that's why for me this is not just a representation of what's out there. It's really an interpretation of somebody's vision of what they've seen as they were out there in a more painterly way. So yeah, silver distinction is where I've put it.
Great, thanks. Let's rescore. Laurie, you hold your 86. We're on 81 as the average, so it's a silver already. And the Prince 83. Congratulations, a small lift. Ben, yes, it is good. Ben, can I swap you up for Victoria? How you doing, Victoria? You okay? All right. Can we have our next print, please? You're watching the 2019, or sitting at the 2019 AIPP EPSON South Australia and Northern Territory Professional Photography Awards. This is the landscape category, and this category is sponsored by Fuji, and the awards themselves are sponsored by EPSON. And we are very grateful to both Fuji and EPSON for making this all happen. So this print gets an average of 79. And we have a challenge from George.
I actually really love this image. We're at 79. We need to come up into the award category. This is such a beautiful shot. The way it's been seen, just that strip of light that's hitting the mountain, creating those shapes. This is an image you could have on your wall and stare at and appreciate. The pathway leading through the up to the mountain as well. It's got all the elements, the beautifully printed and the tones. It's a excellent shot.
Okay, you're on 87. Can I please hear from Gary?
Look, I was trying to find rhyme or reason for what we're looking at, I suppose. It's I had it in professional practice. To go to an award with this picture, I just need something else apart from... I just couldn't see how the photographer has brought much more to this and that, that bottom half with basically all in fairly heavy shadow detail. Like I found myself delving into there to try and find rhyme or reason for that, and I need some more narrative, I think, in this landscape, some more interpretation of this landscape to get me a bit further. Yeah.
Okay, so George, your reply, please.
So I feel that this is a silver award, definitely. It exceeds normal professional practice with high levels of communication and craft and skill. So definitely feel it sits within that award score. Thank you.
Lovely. Let's all rescore. George is holding his 87. It was an average of 79, so just under the silver. All right, we're on 79 by majority. We did go to 80 by average, but it's a 79 by majority. Good try. Good try. Laurie, can I ask that you swap out for Mark Z, please? Thank you. And we'll have our next print, please. So this is a silver award on 80. Victoria, do you want to make a quick comment for the photographer?
Sorry, I'm not sure. Hang on. If I can add anything to help the photographer. It's definitely a silver award. It's beautiful.
Well done.
Sorry.
No, you're right. Mark? Lovely.
Yeah. Look, I would have loved to have seen this go to a silver with distinction because I think the printing is gorgeous and the double exposure effect of having some things sharp and the blur from the background is lovely, but the little rock that's sitting right on the edge of frame really just pulls me down out rather than flowing through.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Victoria, do you need to swap out with Terry? Okay, all right. Let's go around for another print. Next print, please. So the print scores are 77. Peter Barnes, can I ask you for a comment, please?
I like the colour palette. I like the composition the photographer's chosen to use. It's just disappointing when you get close and you see there's a lack of detail where you'd hope to see some detail. I'm not sure what's caused that, whether it's the printing or the original file, but it does lack in that fine aspect of a photograph that needs to have if it's going to be an award.
Thanks, Peter. Great comment. Yes, Gary.
just quickly, there's some unusual things going on with the horizon line of the water too. It sort of jumps and shifts and steps. So that's another thing just to keep an eye on with this sort of an image, because it's so simple, clean and basic. You can pick up all of those linear aspects of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair comment. Thank you. Next print, please. Oh, hold it back there. We're actually swapping over to landscape. No. Yeah, we're swapping over to landscape single capture. And I'm going to take the opportunity to give George a little bit of a rest. And can I bring Terry in George's spot? So landscape single capture. Dun, da, da. This section is intended to reward technical and creative excellence in photographing, presenting an authentic representation of a scene without the benefit of creative compositing techniques. Is that all cool? Everyone comfortable with that? Great. Let's start judging with the first print, please. Thank you, Backroom. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Joelle. Thank you, Nicole and Beck.
After this category is finished, we've got the food for all the judges and all those people in the silver,
Whichever way.
that room over there.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, I'm good, thanks. Don't forget, if you want to come along to the dinner on Tuesday night, the tickets can be booked online. It's a slightly less formal affair than before, and we'll give you ample opportunity to catch up with everyone and do the hugging and the smiling that happens at these dinners. I'm sure there'll be frocking, won't there? Frocking. Peter Barnes has his frock picked out already. He's been to Kate Spade, I believe. No, she does handbags, doesn't she?
Wearing a handbag.
Typical. So we have a silver award on 80. Gary, can I ask you for a comment that might assist this entrant at APA?
Yeah, maybe some other crop aspects might change the dynamic of this picture. That background area, I'm not sure contributes as much as that really interesting floating starship out of Star Wars in the middle. It's weird. I'll probably be thinking about that at 11 o'clock tonight, what that is, trying to work out. So, yeah, interesting picture. Yeah, well done.
Excellent, thank you. Mark, can I swap you up for Ben, please? And we'll have our next print, please. So we're judging the landscape single capture category at the 2019 AIPP EPSON South Australian Northern Territory, put my teeth in right, Professional Photography Awards. This is proudly sponsored by Fuji, so thanks to Fuji and EPSON for making these awards happen. All right, this print scores 79 average, but a majority of 80. Well done. So it's a silver award. I'd like to get a comment from Peter Barnes on this. What could be done, Peter, to help this photographer?
Can I pass?
Yes, you can. I'm going to ask then Terry Han.
The thing that I was contemplating on over quite a bit was the fact that there are 3 sections heading off to the horizon, and for a shot that's so simple, there are just too many elements. Whether it was perhaps cropped to a vertical or something to just remove an element, just to try and simplify it, and I think it may give it more impact.
Great. Thank you very much. Let's have our next print, please. George, could you sit in Benjamin's place, please? Sorry, Ben, I wasn't putting up what you're putting down. I thought you were just sad about something. Yes, this is landscape single capture. This print scores a 79. Are we happy with that? We have a challenge and we're going to accept it from Victoria.
Thanks. I'm always partial to these sailing images, and this particular image I think will stay with me. It's beautifully composed, all of these elements that lead your eye, from the boat to the cloud to the little boat in the background down to the little seagull in the foreground, back up to the boat. There's beautiful storytelling going on here about the environment, and the photographer has captured this beautifully, single capture, and it's well printed. I enjoy the palette, I enjoy the storminess. You don't sail without wind, and there's a beautiful feel to this image that I think is well above professional practice.
Thanks. I'd like to hear from Terry, please. Have you got a...
I appreciate what you're saying, Victoria, but I found the colour palette to be a bit undersaturated. I'd like to have seen it a bit brighter and a bit more colour. And the bottom, I feel as though it sort of goes from the darker patches to the lighter patches, and it sort of just drifts out the bottom. And I feel as though the bottom could be removed. It's only been left there to keep that seagull in, and I don't think it's a strong enough part of the composition to bring it in. So I think it's almost there, but it just needs to be worked just a little bit more, just to give it a bit more spark and to lift it right up.
Thanks, Terry. Peter Barnes, can you add to the comment?
Yeah, this is definitely a silver award, and I agree with most of what Victoria had to say. My one problem with it is the little white spot on the horizon. I think, is that what you interpreted as a little boat in the background, Victoria? Because I can't see the little boat in the background.
Okay, that's what I see.
That's what I see.
I'll have another look. Hang on.
The fact that it's not clear what it is the reason that I kept it into silver and not into silver distinction, because I love the colour palette. I think it's brilliant. I love the way they've handled the light. I think it's a lovely photograph.
Great. Let's hear from Victoria as a rebuttal.
Yep, that little boat in the background is the alternative to sails. That's a little speedboat, fishing boat of some description. I just think keeping the bird in, it's a part of the scene. It's what you see when you're out on a boat. You see seagulls. You're not necessarily going to see the bright blues and greens in the waters when you're sailing out in a storm. And it just works for me in my experience of what I imagine the story is.
Great, thank you. Let's all rescore with Victoria holding her 86. It's a 79 average, so we need a point to make it a silver. It got a silver award at 82. Congratulations, well argued, Victoria. Next print, please. Nice. This print averages scores 78. I'd like to hear from George if you got a comment for the photographer.
Yeah, definitely. I think just watch the darkness of the foreground. It didn't quite match the light coming in from the sky. So, and as I stepped up to the print, I was looking for something else to bring it up to that award standard. But high professional image, regardless. Well done.
Thank you, George. Next print, please. Peter, have you entered your? Just reload. Ah, there we go. We have a silver award on 81. Is everybody up? We have a challenge from Terry. I'm going to accept your challenge, Terry.
I think this is worth silver distinction. It's a beautiful print. The colours and the tones are just what you would expect to be if you were caught in the snow. The composition of the trees just has a lovely flow coming from the major dominant one in the centre to drifting off, and to top it all off, the greatest. The eye goes to the point of greatest contrast, which is the figure in the background that's on the sinister diagonal in the top eye. It's right where it needs to be. It's in a classic compositional position. A lot of thought gone into this, and the printing is beautiful. There's not a lot of detail in some of the snow, but that's snow. You can't have detail in it. It's white and muted and soft and cold and beautiful. Please come up to a silver distinction.
Thanks, Terry. Peter, can I hear from you?
I scored this professional practice. It, as Terry's right, has been very well printed. It's a beautiful scene, and for similar reasons that Terry expanded about that point of highest contrast, which is what you see from a distance. As I get in, it disappoints because it's really not clear what it is to me. Look like a figure, then you get close and you say, oh, is it or is it not? For it to be an award image, that point of most interest should be crystal clear in terms of communication, and for me it's not.
All right. Terry, can you reply, please? You're on 88, by the way, so you're silver distinction.
Silver distinction.
And we're on a silver already on 81.
With greatest respect for the previous judge, I think having that ambiguity of going in and sort of thinking you know what it is, and going in and is not totally spelled out, but it's very obvious what it is, and that just adds to the mystique and the coolness. It could be a man, it could be a hunter, it could be a woman heading off, it could be Bigfoot. It's just got that beautiful element to it. So it's definitely worth coming up.
Lovely. Let's rescore with Terry holding his 88. refreshing the judges.
No, hang on, here we go. Yeah, that one. That's all good, isn't it?
Yep, that's cool. Yep.
No, good night. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. 10 minutes. I need to wee if we're not finished. All right. Oh, that's right. Well, I can just wee. Okay. Do you want me to turn that off now? Is that getting too cold?
I'm okay.
You okay?
Never ask me about the temperature. Nothing bothers me. Always ask someone else who's skinny. George, have you entered? Sorry, mate. We'll just do this. Now we have it. We have a silver award on 83. Everybody happy with that? Well, we may. Everyone happy? Cool. Okay. So we'll accept the 83. And Peter, would you like to make a comment for the photographer?
Just a brief comment. Most photographers would turn this ordinary scene into an ordinary photograph. This photographer's turned an ordinary scene into a very lovely photograph. What I would love to see is the lines of the power lines actually cleaner and crisper and less blotchy than they are, which has sort of brought it down a bit for me. But if that could be handled better, that'd be fantastic.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you. Now, Victoria, did you want to swap out? Are you okay? Cool. No problems. Next print, please. Yes. Let's have a look here. Mark, do you want to sit in, please? Peter, do you want to go and have some lunch? It's over in the print area. We're going to go with Mark. Ben knows Mark. We have a silver award on 81. Are we happy with that? Terry would like to make a challenge. Let's take that challenge. Terry's on 86, silver with distinction.
I'll give it a whirl and try and talk it up. Beautiful image with sort of lovely warms and cool tones. A long exposure to get that beautiful flow of the water. And then you get up close and you see where the water is disturbed and breaking into white water, yet you can still see the lovely splashes of the water of the movement. It's not just a long exposure for the sake of long exposure. You've still got detail in those whites and the water splashing. So the timing of it is beautiful. The colour's lovely. The composition is lovely. It's a very peaceful, restful, not dynamic, but everything is in its place and beautifully executed. That's above just being an award plus we want.
Cool. I'm going to ask Laurie to take the next comment. Is that okay? You don't have to. I can pass.
Yeah, no, maybe not.
Okay. Mark, let's grab Mark.
Yeah, look.
So it's an 86 silver distinction.
So, look, I think, you know, this belongs in the silver range. I kind of wrestled with it a little bit, but I think because of the execution of the capture is just remarkable. So the camera technique to pull off an image like this, and like Terry was saying, to get that still water effect is just fantastic. But what held me back was the use of color tone, and so my eye is landing straight into the patch on the bottom left, rather than being drawn through instantly to that white water at the back where all of that loveliness really is sitting. So while I think it's a solid award print, I feel going to silver with distinction would be a little hard for those reasons for me.
Okay, Terry, your right of reply.
Yes, your eye goes straight to the bottom left-hand corner to that lighter patch, and then it flows along that ridge, and it actually goes somewhere with something to look at. I would think if that was darkened and the white water was lightened, your eye would go straight to that and stop. There'd be nothing to draw your eye to look around and lead you into the picture. So I think that's an advantage, that your eye lands subtly somewhere, and in this abstract image, it is drawn and taken somewhere else before finally resting. So I think that is an advantage. Please come up to silver distinction.
Lovely. So let's all rescore, with Terry holding his 86. The print scored 81 on average. We've gone up 2 points. It's an 83. Well done. Can we have our next print, please? We're currently judging the landscape single capture category, which is a part of the landscape category. So it's just the winner of the 3 landscape categories will be the Landscape Photographer of the Year at the 2019 AIPP EPSON South Australian Northern Territory Professional Photography Awards. This category is sponsored by Fuji, and EPSON is the overall award sponsor. So thank you to both of you, and especially thank you to all the volunteers of the AIPP who made that happen, especially the person who made that ham sandwich. It was very good that I just had. Thank you. Have you entered, Laurie? Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. There we go. Print scores are 78. We have a high professional practice. Well done. Can I ask Mark for you to make a comment for the photographer?
Yeah, sure. This print has a lot going on for it, and a lot going for it. The composition is lovely. The time of day is lovely. The colour palette's lovely. What's really let this one down and has held it back is the actual crispness of the image, and whether that's because it was taken from a boat and you have no other option. It's just a little bit too soft. That looks like it's been resharpened just a fraction too much.
Thank you, Mark. I think we're just going to a quick job swap. George, I think you need to have some lunch. Can I pop Ben in George's place? Next print, please. If you want to come along to the dinner on Tuesday night, please hop online and book your tickets now. We need to know those final numbers. Talking about going somewhere, there's empty seats in this room if you want to come on down and see this judging live. It is much more interesting in the flesh. Plus you get to sit alongside lots of nice people. Listen to babies. Okay, well, this print averages 75. I'd like to hear from Terry, please, if you could.
This needs to have just another element to lift it. We have the silhouette of the tree and the foreground. Be so nice to have those rocks sharp as the silhouette, and to wait just a little bit longer and perhaps have a bird in the sky or a boat sailing past, just something to give it an extra element and depth to it.
Thank you, Terry. Mark, can I swap you out for Gary, please? And we'll have our next print, please. Yeah. Basically, because he said he's in back, he's around. Laurie, oh, yep, there we go. Okay, we have a silver award on 81. Well done. Gary, do you want to offer a comment, please?
Yeah, that cloud's really fantastic cloud. Everyone's drawn to that cloud. I reckon there was a whole lot of other pictures there too this day, so this one's pretty good as well. I think the simplicity of it, though, could have been even more simple if the horizon pieces were just very, very simple and down to single elements, perhaps. You know, maybe those other bits along the fence line are perhaps a little bit jumbly, but the simplicity has still come across.
Excellent. So, we're just going to do a quick judges change. Victoria, can I ask Peter Barnes? I know you're in the middle of eating something, but how close are you to? Actually, Mark is not eating, so let's put Mark in. Let you finish your muesli bar. Sorry. Next print, please. This is the landscape single capture category of the EPSON South Australia Northern Territory Professional Photography Awards. This is proudly sponsored by Fuji. Thanks to Fuji and EPSON for making this all happen. So this print scores a 79, high professional practice. Benjamin, can I ask you to make a comment, please.
Sure. The rocks, I think, are a little bit distracting for me. It's a beautiful shot. I love lightning. Every time I see lightning, I just think it's fantastic. I feel like there should have been probably a bit more smoothness in the sea if this was a long exposure. But I think for me, it's definitely the rocks that distract.
Thanks, Ben. Next print, please. So this print scores 77. Yes, we have a challenge from Gary. Excited that he looks. Let's do this.
Look, I laboured long and hard about where I was going to score this. As a single capture picture, the photographer's been able to come up with it's got a real, this kind of turn of the century sort of thing going on about it. It reminds me of something shot on a 10-8. You know, back in the day, they used to shoot waterfalls, and then you got this little amazing gold element sitting smack bang in the middle. I know it's central and smack bang, and the cropping's a little bit jarring, but you know, not all landscapes have to be beautiful and pretty. Some of them can be a bit jarring and a bit challenging like this, and it is a challenging sort of a picture. It makes you kind of decide, oh, what do I like, what do I not like? But on top of that, single capture picture, amazing colour variation between these dense browns and then this little gem in the middle. So I saw enough in there to get me to a silver award because of those things. Some of you may have some other ideas about other elements and pieces, but yeah, I think just in pure terms of what we're looking at, it's quite a little gem. It's a bit different.
Laurie, would like to comment?
I can comment. So I've scored it at 76 at professional standard.
So you're right on the 77 that it scored.
Yeah, so I guess I sort of felt that the waterfall in the background really didn't add too much to the image, and would have preferred to have just focused my eye on that gold leaf, and I felt like I was kept on going up to that waterfall and not finding anything there. So it was a little bit conflicting in my mind, and that's why I held back from taking it up to the award level.
Lovely. Gary, I might let you go for your rebuttal.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at in terms of the other elements. So I cropped it out. I cropped a bit with your hand, because that's what you do. And then you go, well, that's a different dynamic altogether. I think it's the relationship between the two elements, the movement of the water, coupled with a still element, only one sort of singular still element. I may not get you guys there, but it's a really interesting picture for a single capture image.
Cool. Let's rescore. Gary's holding his 82. We're on a 77. $79 average. Nice lift. That's a high professional practice image. Great. Can we have our next print, please? Oh, hang on. Before we do that, I need to swap Mark out for George, please. And we'll bring our next print forward. Congratulations, we have a silver award. Gary, do you want to make a comment, please?
Yeah, this is a classic example of how ugly we can make the world look, I think. You know, just all these horrid, essentially horrible elements. There's this one little sniff of green in there, tiny little bit of nature. The rest of it, it all just jumbles and mixes, and yeah, it's a comment on, yeah, what we do.
Great. Well done. Thank you. Next print, please. We have a silver on 82. Congratulations. George, do you have something for the photographer?
Yeah, beautiful location. Congrats on the award as well. To push it up even further, maybe looking at the vignetting around the image and the crop. I would have loved to have seen more sky. And maybe the other element is ensuring that the reflection is mimicked in the sky. So there's a relationship there.
Thank you, George. Well, that's the end of our landscape category. So let's give everyone a round of applause. And a round of applause for all the judges. Thanks for doing such a great job. I also wanted to thank Fuji for being the category sponsor and EPSON for being the award sponsors. This has been the 2019 AIPP EPSON SA and Northern Territory Professional Photography Awards landscape category. We're going to break a bit now for 10 minutes for a bit of a lunch break and coffee. And we'll see you when you get back. Thank you.